Good morning, welcome to the Roman Polcha Show. Today we're going to be just doing a quick discussion on the 2024 presidential election, the implications, the preview, and then at the end, my endorsement. So if you have not checked out any of the other previous videos on the channel, I would encourage you to do that now. I just did an interview with a scholar athlete and class president a few days ago. I would encourage you guys to go watch that. Also, I would encourage you to like, subscribe, and to follow the different videos on the channel. I'm going to be putting out a variety of different forms of content over the upcoming weeks. I think that news media, politics is going to be a larger part of it. So if you're interested in that, stick around and watch the other videos on the channel. Thank you. So let's get into it. So first, I want to talk about a little bit of more of a background about me, and then we'll go into my politics a little bit. We'll break down some of the key issues in this upcoming election, and we'll go over what I believe Donald Trump wants to do or will do, what I believe Kamala Harris wants to do or will do, kind of my opinion on those issues, and then we'll kind of compare them, and I'll make my endorsement at the end. So the thing I'd like to say at the beginning is just, this is a key election, and I can't vote in that, so I should point that out now. I'm 17 years old. I missed out on voting in this election by literally 3 months. It is unfortunate, but it is what it is. I will be voting in the 2028 election, so this will just be good for future reference to look back, see what I thought then, see if these predictions came true, and just being able to look back on this video in the future. So, also for the future, something I wanted to mention in this video, sorry as I pick up a pen cap there and move it off the table, is that I'm going to be a social studies teacher. So I'm going to be teaching students about political science, economics, psychology, history, etc., things very related to this field. And I also do plan on getting into politics or political media at some point in my career as well. So they're all kind of related, and it shows my kind of interest in this field. I would consider myself a member of the attentive public. I take classes on AP government and politics, etc. So I do have a lot of knowledge on the current things going on in the world right now, especially compared to other kids my age. I feel like I am more educated on these issues. So at the end of the day, though, it is just my opinion. I'll be giving you my opinion. You can choose to take it or leave it. Okay. So with all that being said, I wanted to talk about unity and getting along before this upcoming election, before I even break down the actual policy differences between the two candidates. And with unity, I'm a Christian. I don't know if I've said that on this channel formally before. I attend a Lutheran church, and we actually had a sermon today on Sunday this morning, and during that sermon, the pastor had just talked about there's room for everybody at Jesus' table. And I think that's an important lesson that we can apply to this election, is that no matter what, whether someone's voting for a Republican, voting for a Democrat, there's always room for them at the table to talk, have open discussions, treat them like humans at the end of the day. They're all humans, they're all Americans or non-Americans. I feel like we need to make sure that we don't allow an election to divide us. I think that it can be a chance actually to bring people together, to talk about our disagreements and to disagree in a respectful way. And I do believe that that is something that our country has really headed away from, is being able to talk about important issues. And I think that there's room for everybody at the table, and I think that we need to be honest, be respectful, and not allow our disagreements about political issues to tear us apart. And I think that that's an important issue in this upcoming election. Don't be divided. Don't pick sides. and I think that you can have a side that you agree more with, but you don't have to hate the other side in order to agree politically with one side. And I think that unity is something that's going to be very important in this election. With that being said, what are my specific political views? I don't really feel like I fit into a one side or another side. It's obviously between the Democratic and Republican Party whenever I'm referring to these sides. And I don't really feel like I fit well into either category because at the end of the day, I feel like uh, political parties are too rigid. You have one political party and you have another political party. They have a list of issues and they have a list of certain opinions on those issues. So what if I agree with I have a certain opinion on this issue that aligns with more of one party, or a specific issue that I agree more with the another party, or I disagree with both parties, etc., etc. So I don't think that political parties are really a good way of determining someone's political beliefs. I think that they're extremely dividing as well. So I would just consider myself an opinionated person who has opinions about political issues and not specifically referring to a political party, although there may be a political party that I'm more aligned with on different issues depending on the person in the election. So just wanted to put that out there as well before moving forward. So now what I'm going to talk about is I'm just going to go through some of the hot button issues for this election. I'm going to talk about what my opinion is on these issues, and I'm going to talk about what I think Trump and Harris' opinion is on the issue, or what I think that they're going to do. So the number one issue for a lot of people in this election is the economy and prices, and I think that that's very normal for that to be the number one issue, as it's the issue that you see most easily affects Americans. It's closest to them. It's going to the grocery store and seeing the price of eggs has went up. It's trying to buy a house. It's all of these things. And so what do I think? What are my opinions on the economy? Well, I think that we need to build an economy that is more favorable towards the middle class. I think that the middle class is the backbone, really, of the American economy. They're the people that are working a lot of the jobs that provide a lot of the goods and services that are needed to keep the economy running. And people in the middle class, can't not have the ability to buy a house, can't not have the ability to go to the doctors and receive proper health care, which I think, depending on which president wins, could be an actual issue in this upcoming election. With that being said, I think that what Kamala Harris will do for the economy, I think you'll see a large extension of the Biden economy in a lot of ways. I don't think that you're going to see too many drastic changes. Biden inherited an absolutely horrible economy at the time of the COVID-19 pandemic, and has built it back to a point where it is one of the best economies, if not the best economy in the world post-COVID, where we are now compared to where we were before COVID. And I think that Kamala Harris is kind of just going to continue a lot of those same policies. She's probably going to try to also lower taxes on the middle class, which is something that I've seen. She is one of her top things that she wants to get done from the beginning of her presidency is a middle class tax cut. That's something that I support. I feel like that'll make it easier for more allocation of resources, and the resources that the middle class has, they can spend on things that they will need. I think that's good. And I think that pretty much other than that, I think she just extends a lot of the Biden policies. Trump, I think that his economic policy for at least this upcoming election could be devastating towards the middle class. You're seeing him talk about, especially with his tariffs, a lot of top economists have said these tariffs, which the idea of the tariffs is, okay, we put a tariff on a specific good so that we're not relying on receiving China, imported goods from China we're going to tariff them so we're not so reliant on them. We need to bring more manufacturing back to America. That's the idea behind the tariff. Well, what that does is it forces the manufacturing of these simple goods in the United States that we can more easily receive from other countries. That raises the prices significantly on the goods sold because of the manufacturing having to be done in the United States compared to in these other countries. So I think that under Trump's tariffs, you will see the prices of all goods and services go up significantly, which could be absolutely devastating for the middle class, as well as the fact that under a new Trump tax cut, yes, you will see the middle class probably receive a tax deduction, but the majority of the tax deduction will come at to the top 1% of the population. And the reason for that is because proportionally they have to pay more taxes because they are significantly wealthier. Yes. So whenever you do a tax cut for the middle class specifically, they are the only ones paying less in taxes. Whereas with Trump's tax cut, it'll be, well, yes, you're paying less as the middle class, but proportionally to the amount of money you make, it doesn't really seem fair whenever billionaires are then getting taxed significantly less. And then including the fact that Elon Musk becomes tax exempt through Trump's economic policy because he's going to be a worker in his administration or have a big role, and that would be devastating towards the economy as well, just because the amount that Elon Musk should be paying in taxes should be extremely high. So that's kind of what I think that they're going to do each for the economy. I think that I would prefer the Harris idea of how the economy should be run for the next 4 years. And I don't really want to see what happens under a Trump economy where we have to manufacture all that stuff at home due to the tariffs, which are going to raise prices. And a lot of the economists actually agree that Kamala Harris actually has the better economic plan for the next 4 years. So I would agree with her. And I also would like to point out one last thing, that it is a bit ironic that Donald Trump is the one who's doing all these tariffs, which is going to force more manufacturing at home, because in his first 4 years in office, he actually lost manufacturing jobs, and Kamala Harris and Joe Biden over the last 4 years have actually gained 850,000 manufacturing jobs back to the United States without having to impose insane tariffs that are going to raise the prices on goods and services that the middle class needs every day. So due to the tax cut being more proportionally fair for middle class and poor individuals, I believe that the Harris administration will be better on the economy. I also think that Tim Walz has a great record on the economy in Minnesota. A lot of the things he did, I would love to see done nationwide, although I don't think that the Harris administration will do them nationwide, because I think that Tim Walz is significantly more progressive on the economy than Harris. Things such as, I would say, free school breakfast, free school lunch for kids was done in Minnesota. That's a great policy. You're seeing the paid family leave, paid vacation leave. These are policies that are extremely popular amongst the American public and done by Tim Walz, and as well as families in Minnesota that made less than $75,000 a year. College education at state schools was tuition free. That's an amazing policy position and idea that I would support, although I don't think Harris will do that during her administration, so I'm not really going to account for her doing that and say, if I knew she was going to do those things, it would be like game set. Her economic plan would be 100% score for me. So that's kind of the economy and my feelings on that. Another hot button issue in this election is immigration. Immigration is not as an important policy to me because I have not personally seen the positive or negative impacts of immigration living in Pennsylvania. It's not a state that is particularly being affected by people crossing the border or I believe by a ton of immigrants in general. The only thing I would say about immigration in this election is that Kamala Harris supported the bipartisan border bill, which would have cracked down on illegal immigration and helped to fix some of the things going on at the southern border. And Donald Trump killed that bill and told people not to vote for it. And that bill was a compromise bill and a bill that was going to see a more conservative border policy, and that was supported by a lot of Senate Republicans in the Senate and the House. Trump killed that bill and told them not to vote for it. Why? I believe the reason Trump told them not to vote for it, and I feel like this is kind of not universally agreed upon, but a lot of people do agree upon this, is that Trump killed the bill because he wanted to use immigration as a tool for the election. He wanted to run on immigration being horrible under Kamala Harris, the border czar. You see the commercials, etc. So Donald Trump kills the bill because he doesn't actually care about seeing this issue solved, which to me, I can't get behind that. I can't get behind supporting someone on an issue that I don't believe they actually care about. If Donald Trump actually cared about that issue, he would have told them, let's get this bipartisan border bill done. Yes, this is going to help down at the border. He killed the bill. He didn't want that to be something that could be on Kamala Harris' record for the election. So I don't think that he's particularly trustworthy in that way. So another issue in this election is healthcare. That's an issue in every election. I believe that Kamala Harris is going to really try to keep Obamacare and maybe extend it a little bit. I know she had talked about extending Medicare for people at home who are needing that healthcare at home for like very old people who are sick. Maybe she takes another 10 years off of it, extends it a little bit so that maybe people from 55 and onward would have Medicare. I think that she keeps the Affordable Care Act going for the most part, maybe extends it slightly to please some of her constituents. Whereas Trump, we know, has no healthcare plan at all. He has concepts of a plan. So Donald Trump really doesn't have a plan for what he wants to do with healthcare. And we can imagine that repealing the Affordable Care Act would be absolutely disastrous for the middle class. People already can't afford to go to the hospital. So what is my opinion on that issue? Well, my opinion on that issue is that this is the funny thing. I don't even really agree with Kamala Harris's opinions on healthcare. I am in favor of Medicare for all the way up from as a human right. So I think that her policy is much less progressive than mine. I feel like she could easily do it. It's actually cheaper than the current healthcare system we have, but I don't think Kamala Harris is that interested in pushing through too much of progressive policies, which is really something that I disagree with her on. So I don't particularly agree with her plan or Trump's plan, but Trump doesn't have a plan, and Harris's plan at least won't take away healthcare from people in the middle class. So I would say that I am more in agreement with her policy on that. So the next issue, gun control and abortion. So let's talk about them both. I think that my policy on abortion is I am pro-life, and I am pro-life in the majority, if not all, of circumstances. That may just be my social view as a Christian. Like I said, I can support healthcare for all and be pro-life at the same time, which is something a lot of people can't do because one of them is a very considered far left progressive policy, and the other one is considered a staunchly conservative policy. So maybe you disagree with either side of that, but that's why I can't really align myself with a certain political party. So getting back to abortion. What is Trump going to do for abortion, and what is Harris going to do for abortion? And what would I do for abortion if I was in a position of power? Well, first off, I think that what your view of abortion is from a personal perspective as a Christian like I am might be a little bit different from how you would govern with the issue. And I think that a compromise can be found between the two parties if people stop being so partisan and actually discuss the issues in Congress. And the solution that I would offer is, why can't we all agree that abortion should not be occurring willy-nilly? It should be something that is taken very seriously, and in certain situations may be acceptable if health and proper health care is a factor. So from my perspective, I am pro-life, and how I would govern it is I would probably talk across the aisle, see what people were thinking, and I would probably offer a policy solution where abortions are completely banned except in cases of rape or incest and life of the mother. So that's probably what I would offer. So now we go back to, what is Trump going to do and what is Harris going to do? So what Trump already did is he overturned Roe versus Wade with his appointments of the Supreme Court justices and sent it back to the states. Okay, Harris and Walz are clearly pro-choice, and that's something that I completely disagree with them on issue-wise. I don't believe that Harris and Walz are going to be able to bring back strong pro-choice at a federal level over their 4 years. That might be a little bit difficult. And I also don't think that Trump is going to change the current policy and create the federal policy that I had just outlined for you that I would like to see get done. So I think that Trump keeps the status quo that he did in his first presidency, and I think that Harris and Walz work on the issue, but I don't know what they're actually going to get done on the issue. So that's kind of my opinions on that. I would more align myself with Trump's opinions on the issue, as he is more pro-life than the other side. But I don't think Trump's actually going to do anything to further the cause in the next presidency. So the next issue is gun control. That's also a very important issue. Trump's going to do absolutely nothing for gun control. So that's his stance. He's not going to do anything at all. Harris and Walz, they might try to do a little bit of something, okay? So we've seen that in Minnesota, there is universal background checks on guns. I think that's a great idea. I would be in 100% support of that idea. So I think that if Harris really leans into the Tim Walz wing of the Democratic Party, then I think you could see something getting done. I am in strong favor of significantly stricter gun regulations. Do I think that they're going to get that done in their presidency? Probably not. I would be in favor of universal background checks, obviously, which is something I think you could see get done during the Harris-Walz administration. I don't think you're going to see a banning on assault weapons in their administration, and I don't think that you're going to see any significant crackdowns on accessibility for people with mental health issues. So significant red flag laws that I think Tim Walz would be in favor of, that I don't think will get done in the Kamala Harris administration, because again, I don't think she will be as progressive on those issues. So now there's two more issues I think are very important in this election. The next one is the war in Israel and the war in Gaza between Israel and Hamas. So first, I'm going to say my view on the issue, and then I'll get into what each of them are going to do. So my view is, Israel had the right to defend itself after the events that occurred on October 7th, and as a Christian, I prayed and was extremely empathetic to the Israelis for the events that occurred on October the 7th, where 1,200 people were killed. That is terrible and is completely condemned, in my view. And then what happens after that is Israel defends itself, and where we are now is that 42,000 innocent Palestinians have been killed as a result of that. And a lot of them are children, the elderly, and women. That is horrific. It is honestly, it's been a genocide of the Palestinian people by the Israelis, and I don't think that Benjamin Netanyahu wants peace. I think he wants to continue to slaughter Palestinians. And I think that we need an immediate ceasefire, and we need to stop sending weapons and money, etc., etc., and keep arming and funding what's going on there. So that's kind of my opinion on the issue. I think that we need an immediate ceasefire. We need peace in the region. We need to work for peace in the region. Donald Trump has no interest in peace in a ceasefire. He said that that Biden, who has really supported this war from the beginning and supported Israel the entire time, he said Biden hasn't supported this war enough. Trump's view is that he wants to continue to supply and let them, quote, finish the job. Well, what's finishing the job? Every university has been blown up. Every university. Mosques blown up. Innocent people have been slaughtered. And my basic view is I am against innocent people being slaughtered. I am against innocent Palestinians being slaughtered. I am against innocent Israelis being slaughtered. I don't want anyone to die at the end of the day. That is my view on the issue, and I think that it's a very important issue. I think that Kamala Harris is not going to be as good on the issue as, for instance, someone like Bernie Sanders would be, but I think that she will work a little bit more towards a solution that ends the war compared to Donald Trump. I think that I've heard her talk about a two-state solution. I've heard her talk about a exchange of hostages, etc., etc. So she will probably continue a lot of the Biden policies on the issue. She's not particularly great on the issue, but she will be better than Trump on the issue. So, and the final issue that I think is important and at stake in this election is climate and energy. Climate change is an extremely important issue. We have talked about that in previous videos on this show. And honestly, the direction that we are headed, climate change could seriously be impacting us over the next 50 years. And I think that Donald Trump has never actually acknowledged that climate change exists. He still claims it's a hoax. And I think that with that being said, he will absolutely do nothing for the climate in his 4 years in presidency, which I think is scary. He has said multiple times, drill, baby, drill. He wants to do as much of that as possible. He wants to stop the transition to renewable energy. He talks about how terrible windmills are, how much he dislikes all of that stuff with the different renewable energies. He doesn't want to move towards anything like that at all in his presidency, which I think is devastating to the future of our country and the future of the world. I think we all need to get on one page as a planet and work towards fixing climate change before it destroys us, is essentially my view. Kamala Harris, I think, will continue a lot of the Biden policy, again, on this issue. Biden has done some good things for climate change and pushed through more climate legislation than any other president in the history of the United States. So I think that's good. And I think that we need to continue to invest in trying to get these renewable sources up and going so that way we can rely on them in the future. I'm not saying we need to get rid of drilling and fracking and all of these things that are so crucial for the economy, especially in states like Pennsylvania, where we rely so heavily on our own energy and our own oil. But I do believe that we need to invest now so that way in the future, whenever we are ready to rely on these forms of energy, we will be prepared for that. So I think policies regarding transitioning slowly towards the use of electric cars, hybrid vehicles, solar panels, renewable energies, I think that is something that we really need to take seriously and something that we need to get done. So with all that being said, those are the major issues at stake in this election. Those are kind of my opinions on those issues, the opinions of Trump, the opinions of Harris. So you've kind of heard where I stand and which candidate I may align more. So the final thing is leadership. At the end of the day, that's what you're voting for. You're voting for a leader for the country, for the future, the next 4 years. Who do you think is going to bring people together? Who do you think is going to be a better leader? And who do you think cares more about American people? And I don't think Donald Trump is the leader that the country needs right now. I think he's too divisive. I disagree with him too much on policy by a mile. And I would endorse Kamala Harris for this 2024 presidential election. It would be historic. The first female president of the United States, that was what she would be. The first female, not just would she be the first female, biracial female as well. I think that would be historic. And I think that not just am I going to endorse her because I agree with her more on policy, I think she won't go as far as I would like to see her go on certain issues. And I don't agree with her on everything. And I think that she will mostly just be maybe a slightly more progressive version of Joe Biden in her time in office. But I think that she is significantly better than Trump on almost every issue besides the issue of abortion. And I think that she will do a lot better things for the working class and I think that she's a better leader for the future of America. So with that being said, that concludes this video. I ask that you like and subscribe, and I hope that you enjoyed, and I hope that you will continue to stay tuned for videos in the future. Thank you. God bless. Have a great Sunday.